Welcome, everyone. We are going to do a little bit of an undergraduate info session and then a student discussion about their internship experiences. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to try to get through my information pretty quickly because the best part of this is really hearing from the students. But I just want to also make sure that you're getting some solid information if you're thinking about doing an internship in the spring or even over the summer. So in regards to what the class and internship experience look like, you'll hear more details from the students, but basically the internship itself is 8 to 10 hours on site each week. It's about 100 hours, sometimes more over the course of the semester. And you also have someone that you check in with that acts as your on-site supervisor. And the course itself really provides support and meets as a group once a week to talk about, different topics that really enhance the experience, but also you're able to talk about your internship and get support if you're having challenges. So it's a really nice pairing along with the internship experience. So in the spring, the course takes place on campus. And we sometimes have a graduate fellow. We may have a graduate fellow hopefully helping out in the spring during the course. And the class meets once a week as a group. It's the same in the summer, but the course is remote. So that students are able to still take advantage of doing it, but they can do that from wherever they live in the summer. So we had students last year that were living in all different places, but we were still able to meet together once a week, and they were having experiences from wherever they were, wherever home was in the summer. And in terms of assignments, the bulk of the work really is the hours at your internship, but there's assignments that are really meant to help you explore that experience and think about it a little more deeply. So for example, you'll be asked to do weekly journals where you're asked to reflect on the experience that you're having, talk about challenges, talk about things that are going really well. And then you're really able to bring that information to class with you. There's a research paper as a part of it, a project, an event like this, and also a final integrative paper that has you think about the applications of your coursework over the years and how it really applies to your internship experience. So if you're thinking about doing an internship, it's really great to start thinking about it before you go and talk with your advisor, so that when you talk about it, you can think about how to fit that time into your schedule, because it's not just the course, it's the time at your site that you're going to need to fit in. And then before registering for the course, you can start reaching out to sites so that you can get a sense of what's available. And then you can start really getting into it and hopefully even getting a site settled before you leave for break. So these are some of the dates I like to make sure people are aware of. The spring semester starts January 17th. Ideally, all students have an internship 3 weeks prior to the start of the semester so that there's not a lot of stress around the coursework and finding an internship. So they would want to secure their internship by December 27th. What that would mean really is we meet and we figure out how to make that happen before you're gone for winter break so that you don't even have to think about it, especially since there's a lot going on around that time. In the summer, the summer 3 term starts on May 22nd. So students would need to secure their internship by May 1st. And again, a lot of those students are able to do that over the course of the spring semester and before they even are done with the spring semester and moving into break for the summer. So a few things just really to do is either create, if you don't have one, or update and edit your resume. You can make a list of those potential sites that you're interested in. I have a long list that I provide with students, and you'll hear about sites from students and also during an internship fair that will happen soon. You write up your cover letters, and then you really just go out and contact as many sites as possible, and you go out on interviews. So if there is anyone that's a senior and is worried that it's too late to have this type of experience, it really isn't. One thing you can think about over winter break is if there's any volunteer opportunities, any jobs that might be related to the field you're interested in, or even paid or unpaid short-term internships that can happen over that time period. And in regards to preparing, what you really want to think about is, what career path are you interested in? You might not know, and that's why you want to explore things a little bit, but something to think about is, are you more interested in the research side or the practice side of psychology? What are some of the settings you're interested in? What are some of the populations that might be interested in exploring? So the best thing to do is just schedule a meeting with me and we'll talk about it. We'll talk through it and see what kind of ideas we can come up with together. And then again, your resume and your cover letter are those first tools you need to go out into the field. But another great thing to do is talk to some professionals that are doing work that you're interested in. The more you go to networking events or career fairs, talking to the people that are in those roles will help give you a sense of what they're doing and what might be interesting to you. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing, because now we're going to hear from students, because the students are the people that have the best information about internships right now. So our first student up is Adrian. So I'm going to let you take it away.
Hi, my name is Adrian Kuhn. I'm a junior. My major is psychology. I'm not minoring into anything, so just a psychology major. My internship is at St. Ains Home. It's located in Methuen, Massachusetts, and it's a residential home and school for children with serious emotional, behavioral, and mental health issues and challenges and learning disabilities. St. Anne's mission statement is that it supports and nurtures, rehabilitates, educate, and advocate for children, adolescents, and young adults who are faced with serious emotional, behavioral, and mental health challenges and learning disabilities. They provide high quality, oh my God, I'm so sorry. They provide high quality, state-of-the-art programming and services in collaboration with these children, their families, and other communities and state agencies and resources. St. Anne's assists them in overcoming their disabilities in the least restrictive setting. St. Anne's population. The school at St. Anne's consists over 100 male and female students that receive educational and therapeutic services. Students are referred by their current school district. St. Anne's program serves populations including Asperger's syndrome, ADD, ADHD, PTSD, anxiety disorders, behavioral disorders, and such more. So I'm a child care counselor. That's my role at the internship. I'm a child care counselor. We provide support and reinforce positive role modeling for the children. We structure, supervise, and manage group dynamics so we maintain a nurturing and safe environment. We also have to be participating weekly with them in team meetings. So our staff meetings are on Thursdays and they're 3 hours long. So I'm usually there for from 7 to 12 p.m. on Thursdays. And during those staff meetings, we have the kids on the units, therapists come in and out, and they just ask for a weekly progress and update about them. And usually the doctor that prescribes all their medications come in and listens and sees if they need to tweak anything. Another focus of the child care role involves carrying out more concrete parenting functions. So we cook meals for them, lunch, breakfast, dinner, and we provide them with snacks. We also do the shopping for their clothes and anything else that they need. We also make sure that their dorms are like clean and that they're doing their homework and everything else that they need to be doing. We also need to make sure that we're able to react quickly and we participate in activities with them and just make sure that they know that we're there for them. The other roles there are residential therapist, teacher assistant, and registered nurse. So I work on the Brookside unit, and those are from the kids of the ages of 5 to 10. They're little boys. My unit director's name is Bill Tierney. His role as unit director is to formulate and implement the children on the unit's treatment plans and individualized behavior programs for all the children on their unit. He's responsible for reestablishing and supervising all aspects of the daily routines of the children in the unit, and he works directly with the children too. And he usually is responsible for planning all the unit activities and making sure that everybody's okay. So this is a paid internship. It's $17 an hour, but since it is a paid one, it's more hours a week. So I work 20 hours a week instead of doing like the normal 8 to 10 that is required. My responsibilities there are to watch over the kids and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I chose this placement here at St. Anne's because I know when I finish school, I want to do something in the clinical field of psychology or become a family therapist. Either way, I want to be working with children in my future. So picking this placement was going to give me a good experience on how to work with children that have mental illnesses. The challenges that I have faced is like balancing, like I have a hard time balancing time management since it does require a lot of my time during the week and I'm a full-time student. So I have to maintain all my classes, homework, social life, and coming here to work because the shifts are on average 6 to 10 hours a day. Another challenge that some might face coming to this internship is that the children might not listen to you when you ask them to do something. And these kids are very chaotic and they don't like to listen to what you ask them to do, especially if you're a new person going, they're not going to listen to a stranger. So some might have a hard time with the children not trusting them or listening to them. What I like so far about this internship is that the hours are flexible, but I just have to learn how to manage my time correctly and form a good balance with school, work, and time for myself. Another thing I like about this internship is the children in my unit. These kids are very sweet kids, even though they can be chaotic at all times of the day. They're very sweet and they all have a goal, whether it's to go home or get adopted. But at the end of the day, they all want to be a better version of themselves. I also like how they are able to trust me and like confide in me and what's bothering them. And that's the end of it.
Thank you so much. Okay. Sarah's up next. So Sarah, I will share my screen. Okay. All right, all set.
Okay. So my name is Sarah, and a junior, and my major is psychology, and I'm doing my internship at Lawrence General Hospital. So Lawrence General Hospital is located on 1 General Street, Lawrence, Mass. So their mission as the General Hospital is to provide quality medical care and related services to the people of Greater Lawrence community. Population is so basically it's a regular hospital. So they from newborn to elderly. They have a large population of nurses and doctors on different areas, and they also have patient care assistants. And my supervisor, also volunteer coordinator, is Brenda. She is like very nice. She is the one that is in charge of the volunteer program there. And she is like the main contact if you want to do like an internship there, because she is the one that will do like the interview and everything that you need to do for an internship and the process. So she's basically the one that's in charge of what you are gonna be doing. And like if you finish early, she finds you something else to do, and like she's the main thing for the whole process. But so my role in the internship, also what I do is prepare for rounding. So when I are right, I sign in, and I be so basically like a day-to-day thing. I visit patient and stuff, but then see how they feel in the hospital, and like I basically feel like a chancy every time I speak to them, just kind of like a report on each patient I see daily. So the I'm sorry, I had a some connecting issues. So what I also ask the patient if they are any pain. So I basically work with patient and each unit day to day and make sure how they are doing. And I basically monitor them and speak to their nurses and everything while I'm there. And internship challenge, I will say why I choose this internship is because I wanted it to see how the healthcare field works from day to day. I was very interested to see like how a hospital run as well, like working with patients and see how they are doing. And what I basically like most is like make them smile a little bit, make their shine in the hospital a little bit more comfortable as possibly it can be for them. Uh, as well as well as helping them like be okay and successful while they are there. Make sure that other other things that they need are provided. And those are kind of like example pictures. I have like that picture over there is like the chancy that I had to fill out, and I basically feel after I end that I feel like a report on the computer for each patient I see. One other thing is that, like I was saying, it's kind of like a challenge. Is that you never know how many patients you are gonna see in a day. Sometimes it could be less than 20, sometimes it can be like 50 or more because they is very busy all the time. But most of the times, like if I finish only visiting all the patients, just because there are some rooms that we cannot go in because they are precaution rooms. So if I finish early, most of the things I get sent to the lost and found department when I have when I have with like other things like over there in the lost and found department, because most of the all the patients that we had to call are their main language is Spanish, so that's why, because I'm bilingual, I always get sent out over there if I finish my rounding on.
Great, thank you. I can't imagine visiting 50 patient rooms in a day. That's a lot.
I mean, yeah, like I said, one of the challenges is that you have to go like visit different units. because we have like 4 to 5 units basically on all the floors of the hospital, and you never know how many patients are you are.
Yeah.
Uh, it depends from day to day. Like it's different. Sometimes I finish early because there was a time that I only was able to see 18 patients, and then I got sent out to do other things, like I said, on the lost and found department.
Yeah. Well, that is a good thing I will say right now, because I don't want to forget, is that if people have any
And,
capability to speak another language, I think
and
Sarah and I talked about it, is highlight that on your resume because it comes in handy for sure.
third thing I will say is like, since over there most of the time is like busy because it's a hospital, of course. Like my supervisor is like looking for more interns because there's a lot of work to do, especially on the lost and found area, because there is a lot of work that needs to be done there. So I think she was talking to me about finding more people that do a lot of that job, and basically she's connected with other sites of work that she's looking for like interns to do that job.
Oh, I love it. She'll be very proud that you gave her a plug. I'll have to let her know you plugged her need for interns. Thank you, Sarah. All right, Sydney, you're our next presenter.
Okay. So my name is Sydney Blades. I'm currently a senior majoring in psychology, and I currently intern at Westboro Behavioral Healthcare Hospital, which is a mental health facility that offers both inpatient and outpatient programs in Westboro, Massachusetts. And I work primarily in the outpatient program. So the mission statement is to improve the well-being of the patients we serve by providing expert quality care, a comprehensive array of services, convenient and timely access, delivered with exceptional service and compassion. And our treatment programs are designed to address the mental health needs of diverse populations. So in the outpatient program specifically, they serve a lot of different populations. So the target population is adolescents and adult individuals suffering from a crisis or exacerbation of their psychiatric condition. So they have the adolescent program, which is for individuals ages 13 to 17. And this program emphasizes group therapy and education, utilizing multiple modalities that provide the tools for promoting healthy self-expression and communication. And they also focus on like mood regulation, establishing healthy boundaries, self-respect, and confidence. The young adult program is for individuals ages 18 to 25, and they work to provide a therapeutic, safe, and welcoming environment to assist the young adults in improving their coping, functioning, and mood. The adult program is for ages 26 and older, and it's designed to provide short-term stabilization and resolution to adults who are also suffering from a mental health crisis. And then this program allows the person to receive treatment while they're still maintaining an active and independent lifestyle, whether it's at school, work, or just like in the community. So the goal is just to help people get back to living like a healthy, productive lifestyle as soon as possible. And then they also offer the first responder specialized treatment program, which works to help first responders cope with like job-related stress and trauma, as well as like personal and home life stressors that they might be experiencing. And then they also do the partial hospitalization program, as well as the intensive outpatient program. And these offer psychoeducation that focus on evidence-based care for continual recovery support. So this just includes a coordination of care with like outside providers, like discharge planning, and then just like educating the patients and their family about like their mental health conditions and then like what their options are. So there are a variety of staff that do many different things. So the clinicians lead psychoeducation in DBT, which informs the adolescents about trauma and mental health disorders that can affect the brain and how they can cope with it. And they also teach coping skills, and that's like a major component of outpatient therapy, especially in the adolescent unit, which is where I primarily work. So that's something that the clinicians really emphasize. And then there's also like the case managers, and they kind of like assess, plan, facilitate, coordinate, evaluate, advocate, just like everything for the patients and their family. So my supervisors are Jacqueline Mulligan, who is the director of outpatient, and then Lori Blair, who's the outpatient program coordinator. So they're both in charge of like running the outpatient program, and they just kind of like handle all of the logistics and stuff like that. So the role of an intern is to offer additional support in group therapy, to complete any paperwork or audits that need to be done, and then to supervise during like different group activities such as wellness or lunch. So my specific roles and responsibilities, they're different every day, but usually I sit in on psychoeducation in DBT, and I'm able to like offer my own perspectives when necessary. I also try to act as like a resource in case the adolescents need to leave group, which happens very frequently. Because a lot of times like group can be really stressful for the adolescents, especially with like all of the different people and all of the different personality types. So there've been like a few times that people will get triggered and they'll have to like leave, and we can like go for a walk, or we can like get fresh air, just like to help them become more regulated so they can go back to group and focus on like learning and everything. And then I also supervise the adolescents during like wellness and lunch. So I get to take them to the gym with the occupational therapist, and then I take them to the cafeteria with one of the mental health techs for lunch. And then I've also had the opportunity to help with inpatient group therapy, which was really cool because it allows me to like work with populations that I don't usually get to work with every day. So some of the reasons why I chose to intern at Westboro was to gain more clinical experience, to expose myself to a more diverse population, and to gain skills that will benefit me in the future. This is my second internship, and something that I noticed after my last one was that it was really beneficial, but it wasn't the most clinical environment. So I wanted to focus on like gaining more experience that will be relevant to my future career, because my goal is to eventually become a therapist. So I figured the best way to prepare for that is to work closely with experienced clinicians and other professionals, as well as just to like familiarize myself with the populations that I might work with one day. So there are a few potential challenges that come with this internship. The population can present really unique challenges just because they are individuals who are either currently experiencing intense mental health episodes or they have in the past. So bad days are kind of to be expected. And on those days, the only thing you can do is try not to take things personally and to prioritize the care of the patient no matter what. And then working with bigger groups in the adolescent unit can become a little bit chaotic. And I find that like it's a little bit harder to form like interpersonal connections with the kids when there's more of them in the program, because you have to keep track of everybody. And then it's also challenging because obviously like you want to form bonds with the kids, even though their goal is to like eventually be discharged from the program. So there's been like a few like adolescents who like graduated from the program, and even though like you're really proud of them and like that is their end goal, you just get used to like seeing them every day. So it's just like a little bit of an adjustment for everybody in group. And then there are many things that I really like about this internship, one of them being building connections with the adolescents in the program. A lot of them come in really closed off, and it's very rewarding to be able to like get to know them a little bit better and to just like see them come out of their shells and just to see the progress that they're able to make. And it's also nice knowing that they feel safe enough to like express things that they need to me, or like if they're just having trouble and they need to vent. It's just like nice to be able to kind of be that resource for somebody. And being an intern is really cool because you really just get to observe and be there for the kids with whatever that they need. So it definitely creates like a unique bond. And then I also just love being able to learn from the clinicians and the other staff members. And I just truly cannot say enough good things about the people that work in the outpatient program. And it's very inspiring to see people who care so much about their job and the patients that they work with. Um, So I've only been there for about a month and a half, but I feel like I have already learned so much and I look forward to learning more. But I think that's it.
Great. Awesome. Thanks so much, Sydney. Okay, next we've got Bella.
Hi. I'm going to apologize in advance if you see things happening around me. Just putting that out there. And I'm also going to figure out how to share my screen. Okay, does everyone see it?
No.
No? Okay. Better?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So I'm Bella. I'm a junior at Merrimack, and I'm double majoring in biology and psychology. So my internship is at Tewksbury Treatment Center, and it's located in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. It's actually on the campus of Tewksbury State Hospital. So I would argue that their campus is actually bigger than Merrimack's. So it's a little difficult to navigate, but that's where it is. And my technical role is a case management intern. So for their mission statement, at the heart of Beth Israel Lahey Health is the belief that everyone deserves high quality, affordable healthcare close to home. All right. And the population served. So Tewksbury Treatment Center, which I'll just refer to as TTC from here on out because it's quite a mouthful, as a branch of BILH, Behavioral Services, seeks to serve individuals in the community that struggle with addiction. So we work closely with individuals that are trying to gain their sobriety. So we have a population that either uses alcohol, benzodiazepines, or opiates, or some combination of all of them. And I do want to specify that this program is for men and women, but adults exclusive. So this is 18 and older exclusively. So some of the staff roles. So the senior case manager is my personal supervisor. So she's the person I coordinate with when I am on site, or if I'm having any kind of questions, difficulties, anything that's directed to her. She oversees the progress of every client through morning report, which we go over the census, which is essentially a huge living document of all of the clients that are currently within the facility, and descriptions like down to a T of exactly what treatment they're undergoing, like what services we've offered, in regards to like risk assessments, have they completed intake, things like that. So she goes over that every single morning to make sure that everyone's accounted for. And then she also is kind of the point person for anyone that works in case management. So there's a collective group of case managers that oversee individual clients' progress through treatment, and they see them from admission to discharge. And then we also have a senior recovery specialist. He supervises all the recovery specialists, and he kind of works in that range. He's essentially the equivalent of my supervisor, but to a different position. And then we also have the nurse manager, who she works with all of the nursing staff. She also is an active part of the morning report, where she goes over all of the medications and treatment plans that each client's going through, making sure that all the dosing is correct and everything looks accurate. Right. And then the case manager is the technical position that I'm holding currently. That's it. Essentially, you work directly with these clients, and you do your intake assessments, you do your risk assessments, and then from there you can gauge if you need to do a safety plan or things of that sort. And then you'll do that. You'll do daily progress notes. So if a client is refusing to do an intake, you'll just write that in the notes, or things like that. And then we also work with the nursing staff to talk about medication issues. If we're noticing in an intake that someone appears to be very sedated or incredibly anxious, we're kind of communicating that with the nursing staff just to be sure that everyone's being dosed appropriately and that we're all on the same page. And then we also work to send referrals for further treatment programs. So once they're going through their assessments, we will then say, oh, how would you like to continue with your treatment? Would you like to go to a TSS, a CSS, halfway house, sober house, things like that? And we'll actually send those referrals on behalf of them and ensure that like the med list and all of the small details are taken care of so they can focus primarily on going through treatment successfully. And as far as the recovery specialists go, they essentially are going to employ harm reduction techniques. So harm reduction, if you haven't heard of it before, is essentially providing the resources to clients that if they are going to experience a relapse, they're going to do so in a safe manner. So an example of that could be like ensuring that clients can have access to Narcan or things like that to make sure that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen safely. And then nursing staff, I talked about briefly, which was they work with clients in regards to medication, and then they also can offer medication. Ooh, my bad. I don't know why it's going forward. Okay. Momentary lapse. Sorry. So the nursing staff is going to present MAT, which is medication assisted treatment. And if they would choose to go on a methadone maintenance treatment, that's a popular option. We also are now very newly introducing microdosing. These are all tactics to ensure safe recovery and prevent the risk of seizures, things like that. Withdrawal symptoms come from medications. So the nursing staff is really great about that. And yeah, they're awesome. And so the roles of a case management intern specifically. So what I will be doing while I'm there, I've been there for, I want to say about a month now. I will be facilitating group sessions. So we hold group therapy sessions. And essentially the goal of that is to work through feelings, work through short-term and long-term goals, and then kind of do a fun activity because this is some really heavy stuff and it can really help to kind of bring up the energy a little bit, be a little encouraging. So that's another aspect. And then, like I mentioned, we perform intake and risk assessments. Daily progress notes for each client. So everyone that's on your list of clients that you are primarily in charge of, you'll be taking notes and saying, just, this is what happened with them today. Even if it's nothing, you're still going to write it down. And then the same goes for group notes. A good portion of people don't show up to the group sessions. So if they don't, in that case, you would just say, no comment, did not show up to group. And then, like I mentioned before as well, we'll also submit references for further treatment. So we will fax over like all of these referrals, the med lists, everything that would be needed for them to continue in their journey. And additionally, if they are being discharged to go home or they choose to not enter into a further treatment program, then we will communicate with them and say, okay, so how are we going to go about continuing your treatment plan at home? And then we also are closely collaborating with supervisors and other coworkers to make sure that everyone is safe and that confidentiality is very much protected, considering this is a kind of a high profile environment. So that's also a large part of what we do. All right, and so why did I choose TTC? So for me, I wanted a hands-on learning experience. I wanted very much to be as active as I possibly could in my internship. So as an undergrad, it's pretty difficult to find something similar to that, or at least that's been my experience. So when I had gotten in contact with my supervisor, Ricky, and she essentially elaborated that I would be doing the same roles, activities, things like that as a case manager, like a paid position, and that you actually did not need further qualifications beyond, like, I think it's a high school degree. So that being said, I was able to really kind of immerse myself in the experience and kind of get a taste of everything. And then additionally, it like provides the ability to transition into a job. So I had to go through training sessions in orientation, and then a variety of like kind of workshops throughout my experience. I've already been to, I want to say, like close to 5 about now. And so since I've already had that experience, I am working on site and I have kind of the layout already set, then it would be that much easier for me to transition into a paid position there if I so choose. And they are always looking for new people and working towards getting more staffing, because then we can provide help to a greater amount of clients. Additionally, I also really love the team and the supervisor. So when I was going through the whole interviewing, touring, orientation process, everyone that I had spoke to or even just met was very personable. They were inclusive. I was like introduced and included in dialogue between all of them, which I think was really awesome. I had the space to ask questions, which is a huge aspect of an internship that I found to be incredibly helpful. And you can kind of tell that the positivity in their environment translates very, very nicely into the environment for the clients, because they can see that everyone is working together in very collaborative and peaceful. All right, and then some challenges and difficulties. So emotionally, this position does require a lot of resilience, and you are definitely going to need a support system outside of the position. So for me, I had a support system in place prior to getting my internship, because I knew I was going to be taking one. But I would say definitely if you will look into taking this one, that would be something you should highly consider, because you are going to need a space to process the events of the days. And as amazing as the experiences and learning, it is still pretty heavy information. It's a little bit of a difficult topic, and I would recommend having people to lean on when it's a particularly hard day. So there is a constant need for employees, interns, anyone in a position there. And so when there's a lack of individuals that are working there, it can kind of put a little bit of a strain on everyone else that is there, whether it be the staff or the clients, because the amount of admitted clients does not decrease as the staff decrease. Additionally, then that means for the staff, then your caseload is just getting larger. So that's definitely something to consider. And then since this program works with a very vulnerable population in incredibly stressful and difficult situations, the clients have and will continue to react accordingly. So sometimes that means they may become a little aggressive or say things that are inappropriate. I will say that Leahy does an amazing job of providing lots of services, lots of supports, lots of trainings. I actually recently went to a crisis management and verbal de-escalation training, which we went over for, I think it was about 5 hours. We went over just about like every single way that something can happen and how to de-escalate that or move through it in the best way possible for your safety and the client's safety. So some positive experiences. So I haven't even completed this and I have already learned so much information and just knowledge I would have never known had I not had the in-person experience. So out of that slide of what duties I'm performing as an intern, I've done probably about a third of that now. I actually took my first intake assessment today. But yeah, I feel like from the time that I've been there, there's been so much. And the staff working there has been absolutely wonderful. I chronically have questions all the time and they're more than happy to help, which is absolutely crucial to having an internship. So that was also a huge bonus for me. And then another thing I really liked was being able to form some therapeutic relationships with the clients. So we're spending a good portion of the time talking about some really difficult and dark times for these individuals. Like a good portion of the time it's involving legal issues or DCF cases, things like that, something that's really difficult for people to go through. And it's honestly, it's really nice to be able to form that relationship and then also be able to provide some encouragement and support in the sense of like humor or positivity and just being able to be there as a person for them to talk with about it. That honestly is so it's very rewarding. And then on to rewarding, feeling the difference that we're making by the work that we all do in this program. So when I say that, I mean, like very recently, we just had a client send an update on the progress they had. And it was a huge update just outlining how grateful they were and how much that this program changed their lives and they'll never be the same after. It was honestly, it was very heartwarming to read. It was everyone in the office had gathered around to read this and everyone was very happy about it. So things like that really, it reminds you why you're doing what you're doing. And then I think also something that it did was it humanized the presence of substance use disorders in everyday life. This is not something that's very far off. It's very common and it's, I think, treated with a lot of shame and guilt. And I think that being able to help these individuals understand that this is something you are struggling with. This is not a character judgment. And you have all the support like within these 4 walls. We are all here to support you and we are here for your recovery. And that's what that's about. And then if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Bella.
No problem.
And I do want to say, if people do have questions as students are talking, write them in the chat, because when we get to everyone's presentations, I can read them and we can make sure we don't miss anybody. Okay, next we've got Tori.
Okay, I'm trying to share it now. Should go. Did it go? No, I don't think it did. Oh. Um, I'm not sure why it's saying that. It's not allowing access.
Oh, that's okay. You know what I'll do? Why don't you send it to me and then say, do you want to see if yours shares? And then you can do yours and I'll set yours up after that. And Tori, you could just send yours to me and I can share it afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my name is Sayan. Everyone calls me Say, and I just started my internship at Andover Youth Services. Okay. So this is the location. It's very close to Merrimack. That's kind of one of the reasons why I chose it. So if you do have like a super busy schedule, like I do, or you don't really like have access to like like transportation as easily, then this is something that works really well. Seeing that this is something I found out along the process is just that Merrimack provides like transportation to like all internship sites in the Andover area. So the mission statement for Andover Youth Services, it aims to provide young people useful experiences to promote healthy growth and development. It is their goal to build a network of affordable, accessible, safe, and challenging youth programs that appeal and respond to the diverse interests of young adolescents and their families. And they've been around for about 26 years. So the population that AYS serves is high school and middle school students. They don't do any other age groups. They only do age groups of middle school and high school students. So some of the programs that they provide, there's like they have like a section for like sports and like more physical things, and they have things like indoor rock climbing. They have beginner volleyball, lifting. They sometimes have trips to like a skate park. They do cross country running and other sports. And then so far for like the things that are like non-physical, they're more on like the artistic side of things. They have cooking classes, studio art. Dance is something that might be up and coming. They have something called the Glow Up Club, which is like a club specifically for like self-care things. So like making bath bombs, nail art, they do facials, and they kind of like chat. And so my supervisor, her name is Hannah. She actually graduated from Merrimack College last May. So it's kind of, I kind of like that. Like that's one of my, I'm gonna talk about the things that I like, but I'm just gonna bring it up since I'm talking about her. But I like the fact that she also attended Merrimack, so she kind of, we kind of have like a connection outside of just the fact that like, yeah, I'm here to do my internship and you're my supervisor. So yeah, that's something that I definitely like. So some of the roles that, because I haven't actually like started yet today, I actually just got my like first tour of the place and like a description of the things that I would be doing. But so we're gonna be doing things like programming. So my supervisor and I, we discussed possibly having like a dance program and me leading the dance program because she said that they've been trying to have a dance program for students and like a lot of the kids have been asking for one, but they never had someone to like lead it. And I did do dance before, so we were just talking about discussing like me possibly leading that program. And then also I would be like facilitating like the activities that I was listing before. So each day that I come in, it's going to be something different. So if you like constant change and not the same thing like all the time, then this is kind of something that is like really fitting for you. So why I chose AYS. So initially I was really unsure of like what I wanted to do, but I know that based off my experience from the summertime, during the summer I was a RBT and I was working with kids in the same age group. So and I actually enjoyed it. So I knew that I didn't mind working with kids within that age group. I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But overall, I think that me just kind of like being unsure, and then I kind of like grasped that whatever was pretty much convenient. But then it turned out that I actually like really, really enjoy so far the things that I'm going to be doing. So some of the challenges, I haven't faced any of these as yet. But my supervisor did, like during my interview, these were some of the things that were brought up. So it's just like children kind of like, having those disagreements and fighting during these activities. Some of the kids not following rules during a program, and like upset parents, if a kid falls and like they hurt themselves, and like, those parents that come in like, well, what's going on with my kid kind of thing. And so far, like just from my visit, I enjoy the lively atmosphere and the programs that they provide for the kids, because growing up, like I never really had like a center like this where like you can come together with other kids, and it being a diverse group, and just trying new activities and like exposing myself to just new things that I've never tried before. So I'm really interested to see like how some of these kids like interact with things that they've never done before. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great, thank you. I'm excited to hear more as you kind of do more and more on when you're there. It should be pretty fun. All right, so Tori, I am going to share my screen and it should be good.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry. For my internship, I'm working for a senator's campaign, Senator Feingold. And just basically everyone knows what we're, all the slides, because everyone has the same similar ones. And then the locations right down in Andover, so kind of by like Casablanca and the post office, like in that area. It's like on one of those side streets, so it's really convenient. And then the goal is pretty simple. It's just to get Senator Feingold reelected, so that he can continue to serve his community. He's already been a senator previously, so he is running. This is his reelection, or yeah, trying to get reelected, I should say. So basically, what I try to do is to serve like the majority of the people in their best interest at heart, and to make sure that we're advocating for them. So that is why we're working for, or I am working for the campaign. And it's just to make sure that everyone's voices are getting heard, the majority of voices are getting heard at the state levels and in their communities. So then here's a picture of Senator Barry Feingold. So a lot of his values that he's running on is improving public safety, funding schools, improving election laws, and listening to his constituents. So improving public safety would just be making sure that everyone's able to be safe in all areas that they're in. And that would be by providing more like transportation, or as simple as putting up lights to deter crime from happening in certain areas. And then funding schools is a big issue, I think, all across the US, honestly. And it's good that he supports that, to make sure that teachers are getting the pay that they deserve, and then also that the kids are getting access to school supplies. Then an improvement in election laws, depending on if people keep up with certain things in the last few years. This has been something that has been going on to just make sure that everyone has access to being able to vote. And part of that is to make sure that there's laws put in place so that people can vote if they would like to vote. And then obviously listening to constituents is just listening to the people in their communities and what their needs are to be met in each of the districts that he is representing. And to make sure that they're getting the things that they need to have successful lives, honestly. Yeah. And then, so the staff is pretty small. There's not too many roles, honestly. So we have my campaign manager, Yvette. And so she works on coordinating fundraisers, advertising, and polling, and getting like people out to vote. So basically, she's just kind of overseeing everything that everyone is doing on the campaign. Fundraising is a huge thing, that a huge component, a part of campaigns, due to like that's how you're able to run, that's how you're able to get ads, that's how you're able to have lawn signs, pamphlets, hold events, just things like that is how you're able to have a campaign. So that's very important. And then polling, he is running up against another candidate on the ballot. So polling is to see like where he is, what they need to do, how they can better touch more people is like what we call it, to reach others and get his name out, kind of thing. So that's where that comes in. And then so the field director is the one that is organizing a lot of the visibility, we call it. So that would be door knocking, just reaching out to the communities, volunteer opportunities, because the more that you get people involved in the campaign, the more that like Senator Feingold's name is out there, as well as just making sure that they're included in the campaign as well. And then she also manages the interns, so she manages me the most, honestly. Yeah. And then, so what does an intern do? So I do door knocking. I do a lot of data entry, which I had no idea that campaign involved so much data entry before I came or started working on one. And then communicating with the community. So that is different in a lot of different ways. Like we hold a lot of weekend events. So sometimes I'm going to some of the events on the weekends, holding signs and talking to the community about Senator Feingold, phone banking. So I'm calling a lot of people, kind of spreading the name of Senator Feingold, asking if they would like lawn signs. I put up lawn signs on people's lawns as well. So if you see any Barry Feingolds in Andover, I probably put those in. I also put together volunteer opportunities. So we have a group of high schoolers from Havel High School. It's actually a requirement, a part of their AP US history class, to participate on a campaign. So they're participating with Senator Barry Feingold. So I'll put together their hours and I'll log their hours as well. So I work mainly with the Haverhill High volunteers on their volunteer opportunities and put together certain things with Olivia, who is my field director. And then, so why did I choose this internship? So I'm actually a double major. I'm a psychology and women's gender studies major. I had some trials. I had trouble getting an internship, honestly. I went through a lot of stuff over the summer. And so this was one of the internships that I ended up reaching out to one of my professors about, because I was passionate about certain topics that happened over the summer that made me want to work on a campaign. And I reached out to her when one of my internships actually fell through, and I decided to go for it. And also it aligns a lot with my women's gender studies major, but does with my psychology as well, because psychology degree is very versatile and used in all fields. So it's been able to give me a lot of skill sets on talking to people with different backgrounds. Honestly, my public speaking, time management, just a lot of things that come along with an internship that you don't always get. in a classroom setting. And then challenges. So I've discovered there are certain things like saying no is really hard to do in an internship when you're uncomfortable by something. Even though I have the nicest bosses ever, it's still really hard. It's a lot for me, and I know that's a hard thing for a lot of people. I've also discovered I hate door knocking. I don't like it. People can be really rude sometimes. I also don't like the fact that there's like cameras on people's doorsteps either. There's just like little things that make me not really like it. I haven't had to do it too much. And I've kind of like told them that I don't really like it. So I was proud of myself when I did that. So yeah. And then I really like the people in my internship and also the connections that I'm making. I like that my bosses are actually really young. They're kind of like fresh out of college, like 3 years out of college, which is really great because they're able to just like understand my schedule and be really understanding when I'm like, I can't come in. That hasn't happened too much, but in recent times I've had to not go into my internship, and they've been really understanding of that. And I also like learning about how a campaign works. Yeah, because I've never experienced anything like this before. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so now that we've heard from everyone, I have some questions that I want to pose to the group to see kind of their feedback, and it would be great if students do have questions. Definitely feel free to ask those questions and put it in the chat. But one question I have for the group is, why did you decide to do an internship? And I know that we've got Bella is gonna answer that one for us. Oh, have we lost Bella? We may have lost Bella. Anyone else want to jump in and let us know what made them decide to do an internship?
I can go. So I decided to do an internship because it's good experience, like on my resume as well, and then also to be in a work setting and understanding the dynamics of working with other people is really important, and to get a sense of like what I might want to do when I graduate Merrimack. I am a senior, so that's coming up soon for me. So yeah, I highly recommend getting an internship.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a very important point, is just sort of figuring out what the next steps are and what feels like a good fit. What are the things about it that you really like? What are the things about it that you don't like as much? And that can give you a lot of really helpful information. So the next question is for Adrian, and I was hoping you could share a little bit about your process of getting your internship.
So for the process of getting my internship, I wanted to find an internship that I knew that I would like, or that I thought I would like. So I made a list about the internships that like caught my attention, and then I contacted them by email, and in that email I included a short little message and my updated resume, my cover letter, and the informational sheet for undergrad internships. And then I sent those emails out and I waited for a response. And then I sent out like 5 emails, I think, and I only got 1 response. But you just have to be persistent with them. And so after that one email, I scheduled a phone interview. And then after that phone interview, I went in and took an actual interview and did a tour and everything else.
And I'm very glad you brought up the point of sending out 5 and getting 1 response, because that is very common. And the more you send out, the better your chances are of hearing back from someone. And being persistent, just like you said, is key. So I we'll tell students to kind of keep track of when they've reached out to someone so that you can follow up 2 weeks later. Let them know you're still interested. And that's something, you were able to be persistent and it paid off, which is great. Okay, so that leads nicely into the next question of what was the most challenging part about finding an internship? And I know, Say, you were gonna share a little bit about that and sort of your experience and what was challenging for you.
So for me personally, like I had a lot going on during the summer, so it was hard for me to like be more proactive during the summer as far as like finding an internship. So when I did get to school, like that whole process of like having to go through the list, and then I don't have my car on campus anymore. So that was another like hiccup in the road. So then I had to find something where like it wasn't like extremely far, and then also like figuring out like transportation and everything like that. But overall, I would say like the reaching out like it was funny because like the list that I did get of the closest ones, the first one that I reached out to was like they were like, oh yeah, like it was a lot faster compared to I guess like what most people have said. And I didn't really reach out to that many, so I guess that's also like another reason why. But overall, I did have a lot of like bumps in the road, but I feel like it was definitely like worth it in terms of like just the experience of knowing that for anyone else like willing to do an internship or wants to do an internship, you should definitely be as proactive as you possibly can.
That is very good advice. And I think that one of the things that I want to let students know is that they can start the process early and we can wrap it up before you even leave for break, because summer does get crazy. People work, people have things that they have going on. And a lot of times the agencies are less responsive over the summer. So sometimes that summer to fall transition can be tough. It's a long time and you feel like I have so much time to do this, but people at the agencies are on vacation or their schedules are shorter and it's very stressful. So proactive is the key word. So I appreciate that. Absolutely. So question, I'm going to sort of combine the next two questions because it can kind of go both ways in regards to making connections to things that you've learned in the classroom and then things that you're seeing in your site, as well as like the internship itself, just enhancing your classroom experience and the knowledge that you've gained in the classroom. So Sydney, I'm going to have you take part of that one, and then Tori, I'll have you add a little bit on as well.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So for me, like at my internship, I have been able to like sit in on like the inpatient group therapy. And so like the different groups for that have been like the psychosis group and then like mood disorders. And I feel like you like read about like disorders and like you learn about like the symptoms, and like it's just very different from like reading about it to actually seeing like how it presents. Because I feel like you can just read like the DSM-5 and you can be like, okay, these are the symptoms, but it's going to look different for everybody. Like everybody presents the symptoms differently for specific like mental disorders. So I feel like just like being able to see it in real time and getting able to like experiencing it, like just experiencing it and like knowing like it can look differently, and just being able to like have those experiences, it's very important. So I think it just like enhances the knowledge, if anything, because then you get to kind of read about it and then you also get to see it, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really cool. I feel like that is huge and just so important. That's great. Thank you. All right, Tori, anything to add from your experience?
I would say like definitely like your classroom experience and then like learn from my site. Like obviously they're two very different things. but you're kind of applying what you've learned in the classroom to your site internship, and then also you're bringing your internship back into your classroom experiences. Like I deal with a lot of different people from all different type of backgrounds all the time, even in my coworker space as well. And so I bring in like the lens of like intersectionality in my workplace, and also just kind of understanding like how to work in groups. Like there's a great class called Group Dynamics. And I see some that pops up in my internship sometimes. I just think that a lot of the things that you're doing in the real world in psychology, and then also my other major, I see in the workplace all the time. Because I also work with coworkers that do have like disabilities as well too, in the campaign. So to also work in like a small space, when you're trying to do things with certain people, it's good to have that lens and knowledge, so that you know how to best work with them as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. So next is advice for students who are thinking or planning on doing an internship. So first up, we have Adrienne for that one.
Advice that I would give to other students who are thinking about or planning on doing an internship is to have good time management. If you're going to be there for a good amount of hours a week, you have to, and be a full-time student, you have to be able to manage that, and also manage making time for homework, having a social life and stuff like that. Another piece of advice that I would give is to stay consistent when it comes to finding an internship. You want to keep sending out emails, and it's better to send 5 emails than one, because that one might not answer and you're just left with no choice. So it's better to just send out a bunch of emails and get a bunch back compared to sending out one and then having nothing. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you. And you're right, because the more you send out, the better your chances. What about Bella? I know you had some advice to share too.
So I think some of mine pertains to before you get the internship a little bit.
Mhm.
So I think what was most beneficial to me is knowing the population I wanted to work with, the level of clinical experience I wanted to gain, and like what I was willing to do to get to that point. So I actually didn't start my internship until, I want to say, like the end of September, beginning of October. Like I didn't officially start, and that was because there was a lot of like legality things and like orientation, and then you have to do this and it's only offered on this day. It's just a lot of like in between stuff like that. So I would say if you're planning it, know all of these things far in advance and apply to the places that are going to meet those standards for you, and do it soon. Like as soon as you possibly can. Like people aren't going to be mad if you're like, okay, so I'm going to be available to intern next summer, and you reach out from now. Like that's actually what I did for the following summer over this summer. Like people won't be mad. Just the sooner you do it, like the better you can have everything like squared away and like set so that you know exactly what you're doing. And then you also don't put yourself in a position where you feel like you have to accept an internship that you don't necessarily want just because it's the only one that's available at this time. Like, I think like the longer you wait or sit on like applications or doing things like that, you kind of put yourself in a little bit of a crunch spot. And my advice would be just give yourself as much room as possible and know exactly what it is you want to do with it.
Absolutely. And that's really helpful because I think that it helps you narrow things down. And I like the idea of reaching out early is not a bad thing. Places are thrilled with that. And they'll let you know if they want you to reach back out. But they also really appreciate planning ahead. So absolutely. So the next question I have is for Chris, and it is about what you hope to gain from your experience, because you're in a little bit of a different position than some of the students that shared tonight.
So yes, I'm in a very different position because I started a little bit late, just because of the scheduling and everything. But also I had difficulty finding something that I wanted to do specifically, which was an internship revolving around research. In the past, I'm a senior, and during my sophomore year, I did like a volunteer opportunity at Windrush Farm, which wasn't kind of what I wanted it to be, just based off of COVID and putting some restrictions on what I'm able to do there. But then the following year, I was actually a BT, a behavior technician. So I was able to look at the therapeutic route, which was actually where I originally wanted to go for like psychology in my future. And after having that, it wasn't like my cup of tea. I enjoyed it. I valued the experience because it led me to something that I didn't necessarily want to do. And now doing the research one, I'm very excited to be a part of it and have a position at McLean Hospital. I'm planning on putting in a lot of time there, and what I hope to gain from this is basically seeing what grad school and PhD programs will look like, because that's where I want to be in the future. I love research. I love everything about it. And this internship will provide me with the knowledge and everything going forward. And I just think, like, in general, with gaining experience, like whatever you do, like give it 110%, because if you don't in your experience, then you're going to live with like the what ifs of it, and that's going to suck. So just no matter what experience you're going for, try your best, because you may end up liking it, you may not, but either way, it's very valuable information to know. But I'm very excited for it. I'm doing like internships interviews over the phone, collecting data, analyzing data, having weekly lab meetings. And this is all things to prepare me for continuing on with a PhD program / grad school, and or taking a year off to work in a lab full time. So I'm very excited for this. It did take a while. But I had a bunch of different resources that I reached out to, professors at Merrimack, friends that I knew that had connections. So I was trying and looking for everything out there. But yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. And I think that what you said too about, you had those other experiences and that's how you figured out that was not the right path for you. That is such valuable information, and it can help you realize, okay, I need to switch gears and I need to figure something out. And then you found something that you feel really passionate about, and that's so exciting. And now you get to do it, and also doing it somewhere, different than you've done before with research on campus, and somewhere that's very well established and very well known. It's a big deal, and it can really open up a lot of doors. So I think it's really exciting, and I'm excited to hear more as you start, and just what that's like to work in just that different environment. I think that's really exciting. So yay, I'm excited about that. Okay, and last but not least, I'm gonna call upon Sydney one more time, and tell us if this experience has helped better define what you want to do in the future.
I definitely think that it's just helped me to find out what I want to do more in the future. I'm also like a firm believer in the best way to find out what you actually want to do is to find out what you don't want to do. And so I feel like that's helped me a lot. Because I always knew that I wanted to be a therapist, but I was I am going to work with adults. I don't really have any interest in working with kids. But now I work with the adolescent unit, and I absolutely love it. And I got to sit in on the adult group therapy, and I was I don't think this is for me, which is like so shocking because I always was just like, yeah, like that's what I want to do. And so like I just think the best way to find out like what you want to do is to be like, just try everything that you can try and like get as much experience as possible and find out what you really don't want to do. Because I think that will just like help you figure out like what you're meant to do.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great way to end the conversation because it just says do everything and try everything because like you said, you had a set idea of what you thought you wanted and then you did it and it wasn't exactly what you thought it might feel like and then you did something that you weren't sure about and you really liked it. And that's what I push people to do is if you're absolutely sure this is what you want to do, try something else first and then try that. Have as many experiences as possible. And Sydney's a good example because it's a second internship. Chris talked about previous experiences that helped shape that. The more you do, the better you'll understand yourself and you'll be really informed about what the next best step is. So I am going to stop sharing so I can see people. And I just want to say thank you so much to the students because I really, really, really appreciate you sharing your experiences and talking with us about, you know, what you have done so far and what you're looking forward to doing. And I'm excited to hear more about how the year goes. So thank you for sharing and I hope you all have a great night. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.